Ladies and gentlemen, here he is with the Rosenthal Report.
The ultimate
Jeremy.
Rosenthal Report.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Special edition. Good morning.
Dear Lord. We gave you the links and information on the Kaitlyn Conley case, 2 trials, and now a proceeding, by the way, that was really riveting, as the DA thought that the judge could hold her after the appellate court had released her. They wanted to hold her for 45 days. The judge was scolding the DA. I mean, this thing...
Yeah, it was interesting.
This thing doesn't ever, it continues to give, this case. It's unbelievable.
This thing, I have to thank you guys, because I had no clue this rabbit hole existed. And I have learned so many amazing things. Probably the biggest thing that's going to affect my legal practice is that there's a compound called colchicine, which is, if it doesn't kill you, can make the most amazing marijuana that will blow your ears off that's known to man.
Just be careful with your search history, searching that stuff, because that was a key element of this as well.
That's the other thing. It's like, you're going to search how to get rid of a body, or you're going to search, how to get through a polygraph.
How sick can someone get with colchicine?
Yeah.
Do it on your girlfriend's phone.
That's exactly right. And therein lies the big question. The DA's office is confident they have the right person. They got the right person. But as a defense attorney, that's always what a prosecutor feels, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of watching some of the documentaries, reading the pleadings, looking at everything. This thing is a hot mess. From the legal standpoint, I'm not even talking about the true crime crazy that you guys are the true crime capital of the world. This thing is nuts. But from a legal standpoint, you do see at times a lot of confident to overconfident law enforcement. And when you see the police talk and them interviewed, extremely confident in their case, and so much so that, look, they're human beings. Just like you and me. And so they can kind of get pulled off sides. When I'm watching this case, and when I'm analyzing everything here, the one question that I keep coming back to is, I did not see anything that eliminated the boyfriend from being a suspect. Maybe I'm not as familiar with the facts.
Yeah, he has immunity. He and his father
because
have grand jury immunity.
They testified before the grand jury.
Yeah.
They received, because I think the prosecutors, and to this day, if you ask the prosecutors, they'll tell you, no, you don't know, we got the right person. But he had so much access to her, and so much access to her phone, her computer, and everything. It's hard to say it's absolute that it's her, or could it be him? And
this is an ultimate whodunit. I mean, you've got somebody who put a little bit of poison in the coffee, and man, that could have been anybody. Unless you are watching this on video, I'm sorry, but you don't know. And so that is, and of course, everybody's going to swear up and down that they're innocent. There's a lot of evidence that pointed to her. It was really interesting. So the theory that sprung her is what's called ineffective assistance of counsel. You have a constitutional right. Now I'm going to ruin this with law.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it'd be boring.
Great, thanks.
You sent me the legal briefs, and I was like, this is wonderful. Oh my gosh, ineffective assistance of counsel. You have a constitutional right to a lawyer, and to a lawyer who knows what they're doing. Her lawyers seemed really good, and I think that they did a very effective job. Fourth Amendment law, what ultimately happened was the search warrant for the phone was bad. And I'll tell you this, search warrant law, when it comes to cell phones, data, in the 21st century, in the year 2025, as a criminal defense lawyer, you go over that thing 8 times. And not only for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that the law is radically changing in those directions. So it is no surprise that warrant was faulty. And the first lawyer, neither of the first 2 lawyers caught that. the court came back and said, you would have knocked out all this cell phone evidence. This case was crappy enough as it was, and now you eliminate all that evidence that you got on the cell phone. This thing is dead as a duck. So that's kind of ultimately what happened here.
Well, and what's interesting is right now the DA's office is contemplating
charging her again,
a third trial. But in this third trial, none of that evidence is going to be admissible. So what do you have?
They can try. It's going to be really hard because she was already acquitted of the second-degree murder, which in New York State, that's pretty much as high as you can go unless you're shooting at a police officer or you're Luigi Mangione and shooting at an insurance executive. She's acquitted of that, so you can't hit her with that. She was already on trial for the manslaughter, and just because somebody wins an appeal, you can't punish that person for winning the appeal. So I don't know what you charge her with, and I don't know what evidence you have to do that. Candidly, and you can't. You've given the dad and the brother. You've given them immunity to some degree. Okay, if you find new evidence against those guys, then they're fair game. But it's a terrible position to be in as a prosecutor, to come back and say, sorry, those two trials that we were standing up here and having all these press conferences about, we were totally wrong. It's actually these guys. That is so hard, especially given the fact that, again, it's the ultimate whodunit.
And let's not forget she's been in jail for 7 years.
Yeah.
So
this has been a case of unprecedented occurrences. You had the hung jury, then you had the second trial, and it's very rare the New York Appellate Division
that's a tough
overturns a conviction like this. So who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
And there was some more stinkiness than just this. You had and again, this is just me lawyering out. This is probably the least innocuous, most tame fact of the whole thing. But you had a clerk, you had a prosecutor who was a prosecutor on this case that switched jobs and started working for the judge halfway through. And then both parties said, we need to recuse this judge, and the judge wouldn't do it. We had a very similar instance in Texas, somewhere, I believe at Midland, maybe Odessa. I get them all confused. Big place where we had a prosecutor who was moonlighting part-time, helping the judges write their opinions. And they had to throw out a ton of convictions.
Wow.
Because of that sort of incestuous relationship. So this was maybe the appellate court saw this and maybe this was a mercy kill and said, you know what, this thing sucks real hard. We're just going to kick the legs out from under it. She did 7 years. If she did this, that's good enough. Let's call it a day.
Yeah, especially with the when you look at manslaughter and what other cases end up getting and the sentences that these people who are convicted are getting. She's pretty close to that point where time served.
That was the other thing too. Her defense attorney, one of her defense attorneys, looks at it as, for what people are getting for Man 2 that are more hardened criminals, quote unquote, they're getting 15 years. Yeah. She got 23.
Yeah,
which seems like an excessive sentence for somebody with no criminal history.
Yeah,
right. And manslaughter is accidental death. That's accidental murder. So, and in Texas, that's over our statutory limit. In Texas, if everything goes completely wrong for you, and you've done this a bunch of times, you might get 20 years for this. So 23 years was really high for that part of it. Did that factor into this? Look, appellate judges will tell you that we are learned and we only study the law. We don't get excited by colchicine, which can make marijuana better.
Yeah, that's right.
we only analyze the law, but they're people too, and they look at these things and they go, this one got screwed. We can't let this one stand.
I will be shocked if this goes to a third trial. I just don't know.
Oh, and the other element of this, too, is speaking of recusal of judges, both of the Oneida County judges that would handle this type of case were previously in the district attorney's office's ADAs
at the time
of this, so they'd have to shop
they'd
around.
Have to recuse, yeah. So,
They may.
Yeah, and I believe you have a different district attorney now than the one that
Yes.
originally
Yes.
prosecuted,
Yes.
right? So you do have a little bit of okay, this was that, we're just going to move forward. So look, man, but I'll tell you what, I am not done with this internet wormhole.
Yeah, you can't be.
You got, we may, yeah, but this thing is great.
Well,
So
and
thank you.
I also have heard from somebody that gave me a little tip that the next documentary, the update is already in the works. So there'll be more to come. I wish I had time to get into this other stuff because we're going through next week. We'll do this because we're going through some very legal. I mean, you can really get into the weeds, but there's a lot of questions when it comes to the Trump administration and everything going on right now. Maybe next week we'll get into that. Yes, I have a feeling that those will still be going on, and it's not going anywhere. And yes, I mean, we will cut it up and we will smoke it like a colchicine infested marijuana plant. Is that legal? Is it legal in New York? It's not
you
legal
can
in
grow
Texas.
your own all you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they're real tough about it here. So, but that feeds me. It feeds my family because I'm a criminal defense lawyer. We got to keep things illegal. That's, we'll deal with it.
You got to do it. All right. Great stuff, Jeremy. As always, we appreciate it. And the Rosenthal Report.
Yes, it is.
Have a great rest of the week, man.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks
All right,
so
Jeremy.
much.